Hi, I'm Billy. I'm the other bass player for 57 Down, and we're here at the wonderful Shug Studios. You may hear occasionally the amazing band next door, Bear Makes Ninja, playing. So bear with us if you can. Should we have the first question?
What bass is that?
This is a Spectre Q5 Pro. I haven't always played one of these. When Matt and I started, we had some basses that Matt managed to hash together. They literally were hashed together. They had nails in to hold strings in and all sorts, and they were a right mess. And eventually we started playing them when we liked where it was going, so Matt managed to get hold of some Traven Neos, which were fantastic. They get a lot of stick, but they're a great bass. But it got to the point where we had to make so many modifications that we just couldn't use them anymore, so we needed something else. Matt got his Spectre from his mate Michael, and we thought, well, I should go the same way. So, luckily for me, I managed to find this Q5 Pro on eBay. Can't remember, I paid very little for it, and Matt drove down to, where was it? Miles away, wasn't it?
Reading or something.
Yeah, and Matt picked it up for me, brought it straight round to my house, and we put it together, and I've not looked back. It's just an incredible bass. It's got such a low action, it's a fast neck, and it's a lovely colour, so that's why I like it.
Well, you play left-handed.
Right, I play left-handed. This is weird, right? So my dad's a musician. He's had instruments around the house all the time, and I was about 5 or 6, and I thought, oh, I'll have a go. So I picked up a guitar and I just started playing it, and I taught myself how to play. I was watching videos of old blues rockers, and I was playing along, and I couldn't quite figure out what was going on, but I could get all the sounds and everything. And then my dad bought me a guitar for my 13th birthday, and it wasn't until then he bought me a left-handed guitar, and I hadn't realised that I've taught myself upside down the whole time. So I thought I might as well stick with it. So I taught myself a bit more on the guitar. Then I joined a band years ago with Matt, and they needed a bass player, so I took up the bass and I started playing it upside down, and that's how it's been ever since. And then I joined another band with Matt called the Keystones, and this is the original strap that I had then, all those years ago. It's not changed. I love my judo strap. Like Matt says, it's the most comfortable thing in the world. I have dropped it a couple of times because I've got holes in judo straps. I've got, thanks to Wish, these awesome strap locks. It's not going anywhere anymore, and it sits perfectly.
What pick do you use?
One of these.
What is it?
These are my all-time favourite picks. I've got a whole pocket full of them. These are amazing. They're Jim Dunlop's Jazz 3s. I prefer the red ones, but the clear ones are cheap, so I bought them as well. They are the most amazing things. They never slip, get a great attack, and they fit perfectly in my little Frodo fingers, so I'm happy with those.
Signal chain.
Right, so this is my basic signal. Mine's not as complex as Matt's. Mine's a bit more straightforward. I've got a few more pedals that I will be adding that are not on here yet, but this is the basic setup. So I come straight from my bass, and I run into a more yellow compressor. I don't have much compression on it. I just find it lifts a bit of the mids and the high end a bit, and that runs straight through into my chromatic tuner, and then I go through my switchblade. And then I have my bass signal runs through the Blackstar HT2 into my Behringer BX3000, which is an incredible bass amp. So versatile, and it gives such a warm, meaty sound that I love. It's just my favourite. I love it, and it's been dropped, and it keeps going, so that's always a good sign. So anyway, from there, it comes out my switchblade, and I go into my Boss Dynamic Wah, which is just the best pedal in the world. I can't move my feet and hands at the same time, so I couldn't work a proper wah, so I use this instead, and I love it. And then from that it goes into my Acapulco Gold, which I've not had very long. I've just bought it, and it gives the most amazing heavy fuzz sound, which I love. And from that I go into an Electro Harmonics B9, which I don't think anybody's ever really used on a bass guitar before. And it gives a really amazing organ sound that we use in one of our songs called I Saw, which maybe a lot of people think maybe we have an organ or something. We don't, it's just that pedal that runs through that. Then from that it goes into my Hall of Fame 2, which again is another versatile pedal which I use, which has a whole memory bank and you can download things and different settings. I only use that occasionally because it's such a powerful pedal that I don't want to saturate everything that we're using. And then I move into my Nux Mod Core, which has a various settings, and I tend to use a flanger setting on this. It's lovely, and it gives a nice warm movement to the sound as well. And then I go into a silencer pedal, which I'm not using for today, but that's what I normally use. And then from that, it goes into my PV Windsor. I use this slightly differently to Matt because I bypass the preamp. I don't use it at all. So I go straight in, and I control the volume of the amp from my bass and my Acapulco Gold pedal. So I don't touch the settings on here. The only thing I mess with are the presence, texture, and resonance. The rest of it's I don't need. And that's it.
Why do you buy amp?
Well, we use bi-amping because I think when we originally started we didn't do that. And we played and it sounded great, but we always wanted to add something extra to the sound. I mean, I think originally I had a rat pedal that I was running through an old H&H Electronics amplifier, which was brilliant, but it was lacking something. And so I think it was Matt's idea to think, well, let's have 2 amps each, and I'm a gear freak, so I'm like, yeah, why not? Let's have extra everything. And so that's why we did it. We did it to fill out the sound, give us a nice low clean end. I use the HT2, but it's cleanish, that just kind of sits underneath the sound and lifts everything else up, and then the PV does the hard work of filling in over the top, and that gives us that lovely big heavy sound which I adore. Now, Matt was saying earlier, Matt does a lot of the modifications to our amplifiers, and he very kindly did some servicing on my Windsor as well. It's taken a lot of punishment, and it takes it all like a filthy bitch. It's a brilliant amp, but it needed a bit of servicing. So we bought some E34Ls, I think they're called, which give it a bit of a boost at the top end, don't they? And give you a lot of headroom, so it fills in with the fuzz. It really takes it all, and it lifts it, and it's such a wonderful sound, which I will show you later on. I know you're dying to hear it, but yeah, we will.
Demo your pedals.
Okay, well, how do you want me to do? Do you want me to just hit shit?
Well, just do like, this is my rhythm sound, this is my lead sound, this is my clean sound sort of thing.
Well, this is the kind of a clean sound that I use. Without my Acapulco Gold on, I only have just a slightly bit of crunch coming through the Behringer, and then I have the PV just running on a clean signal, and it gives it's quite a clean, ever so slightly fuzz sound. And the reason I do that is because I go to a few gigs, and the soundmen that have been impressed with the most, they've concentrated on moving the air first. And that's what I wanted to do with my sound. I wanted to get the air moving and then put the tone in over the top. And it's taken a while to kind of get that going, but that's how I figured out in the end, is to get the Behringer moving a lot of air and then put the crunch and the sound over the top of it. And this is why you get this warm sound, but it carries through the crowd and carries through to the back of the venue where you're playing. So when I'm playing in the song Crown of Thorns, and that carries over the top of what Matt's doing, where he's using his whatever pedal it is, I can't remember now. And so it kind of fits in with that and fills in any gaps that are missing. From there, I have my B9 pedal, which I use you'll notice I use for the intro of I Saw, and that gives a lovely like organ sound. So that's what we use primarily just for the song I Saw and the outro of Crown of Thorns. That pedal really does track well with this bass. It doesn't handle the lower notes, but I've not had much of a problem with it, and it gives us a wonderful clean sound. I also have, like I mentioned earlier, my Acapulco Gold. This is my all-time favourite pedal. I think it emulates the Sun Model T amp, which I've always wanted and I can never ever afford. So I've got a pedal that kind of emulates that, and this is what it sounds like combined with the HD2 coming through my Behringer. So it has that old fuzz sound without losing the definition that a lot of fuzzes tend to do. It sounds more like it's just the overdriven amp, and it adds a lot of texture to the sort of sound that I like to play with. On top of that, I have my dynamic wah, which I don't use very often, but I use in this Crown Thorn solo. So that's the solo sound that I use. And I also, because of the way the Acapulco works, I can control the tone I get from it using the volume on my bass. So I would do, for a cleaner sound, I'll just give it. So it gives it that fuzz sound that's a slightly driven amp. But if I then turn my volume up full, has a lot of sustain, and it carries on forever, and that's got sustain for days, that is. So how do we approach the Soundman with this? Well, this is something we thought the way we're set up, we might give the Soundman a bit of a headache, which has happened in the past. We have turned up at venue, we've given all the advice, all the settings we're doing weeks in advance, and we've turned up and the Soundman's said, oh, 2 bass players, that's fair enough. And then we explain our setup. And this one particular guy had to go and sit in his car for half an hour and have a think about it. And so the way we approach it is we ought to make sure we give them plenty of time, plenty of advance notice that how we're set up. And then what we say is, we've done all the blending, we've done all the hard work, we get all the sounds melded together. All the Soundman has to do really is make it go out through the PA. And once they get to understand that, they sit back and then they'll play with the sound, we'll do a bit of sound check, and they'll come up to us and say, oh my god, yeah, it's so easy, that's all I had to do really. And this is what we try to do. We try to do all the hard work so that we're not giving the Soundman the headache that you'd imagine it would be. And so far, we've done alright.
Except for Bolton.
Apart from that. Yeah, we don't talk about that one.
Blew my head up.
And mine.
And yours.
Yeah.